So we'll start with our first speaker, Kazuya Horibe, who is a PhD student in theoretical biology at Osaka University. And he's going to tell us about the surface geometry of the cerebral cortex and how it induces topological changes of cortical traveling waves. Kazuya, take it away.
Okay, thank you for introducing. So I will share the screen. Can you see my screen?
Yep, that looks good. Okay.
So yeah, firstly, I will briefly explain my research about the numerical simulation on the cerebral cortex, neural activity. So the background is we have two ways of the signal propagation in the brain. The one is a nerve fiber. The second is the pattern dynamics on the cerebral cortex. For example, this is a mouse of the cerebral cortex, and the neural activity propagate like a traveling wave. And also, this is also the mouse cerebral cortex, whole cerebral cortex, and this neural activity propagate like the spot pattern. So this the traveling direction and speed could encode the brain function. So we are interested in the phenomena. And this is a peak brain. This is a more complicated geometry. So this is interesting phenomena. This is also the neural propagate on the cerebral cortex, and the neural traveling wave influenced to the geometry. So we want to understand how surface geometry controls signal propagation. So using the mathematical model, the setup the mathematical model is here. Yeah, we use a very famous neural activity model, Fitzhugh-Nagumo. We use the traveling wave solution, and we also set the very simple geometry, like a two-dimensional Gaussian function. So we can add it, and we use multiple Gaussian function. We can estimate the very complicated the geometry like the human brain. So this is a demonstration with using the real human brain. So the black line is a neural dynamics wave, and firstly we propagate the one traveling wave, but after that like the front of the brain, the traveling wave, the split and multiple dynamics. So we want to understand how does the surface geometry control the direction and the topology of the traveling wave. So this is too difficult to understand the geometry of the surface. So we simplify the very geometry. So we set up the three condition of the surface. So this first is a flat surface. This is just to propagate the traveling wave. And the gently curved surface is like the transiently the bended the traveling wave, but this is return the original shape. And the sharp curved surface is the traveling wave, the split like this here, and make to the independent wave. So the wave has been, the wavefront collision is a precursor to the topological chain. So we try to understand geometrically. So we use geodesic equation. This is the shortest path on the curved surface. And we compare the wavefront of the traveling wave and the solution with the shortest path equation. And we can estimate we can guess the traveling wave of the shape using the shortest path. Yeah. Yeah, this result means only geometrical structure we can guess the direction, the speed of the traveling wave. So using the more complicated structure geometry, we will expect it the traveling wave on the real surface geometry of the cerebral cortex. And after that, we try to understand the influence between the neural activity and the geometry during the brain morphology, like a very early stage in the brain. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, great. Yeah, I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
So this must influence cortical wiring, right?
Yeah.
How do you think about that?
Yeah, exactly. I think that for example, this is a human brain, the very early development stage. In this case, in this region, the neural fiber is a very not matured. So most neural activity occurred on the cerebral cortex and make a gyri. So in the very early development stage, this surface neural activity is dominant. So after that, we should think about the neural connectivity.
I see. Okay, and then can you go back a few slides to where you had the bifurcation from the very sharp peak?
Yeah, this one.
Yeah. So where the pattern actually bifurcates and splits off, they go two different directions. I mean, that seems like that would have functional consequences. Like for instance, I'm a visual scientist, so if these traveling waves are in response to a visual stimulus in the world, then it seems like now you have two very different regions of the brain representing the same point in the visual world. But I guess you might say that this sort of bifurcation would then induce wiring between these areas, or how do you think about this?
Yeah. Yeah, you mean the biological function of the splitting, right? Yeah, exactly. You said the visual information is the most understandable example, I think. So you can imagine the visual cortex, we can propagate to the same information to the region of the cerebral cortex is one idea. Yeah, actually we also try to find the phenomena which affect to the split, but I haven't found yet. So yeah, visual information processing is I think the most reaching problem.
I see. And do you think that in your simulations, the wave propagation and these three surfaces, are they equally efficient or energetically cheap? So I'm thinking, for instance, if these wave fronts were seizure activity or something, is it correct for me to think that these sharp curved surfaces would result in smaller propagation or slow down propagation?
Yeah, you mean the does this way does the velocity of the wave is change or not?
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Yeah, in this simulation is speed is constant.
Right.
But the real brain, I think there is a different the density of the neuron, and so that the velocity the change during the each region, I think. So yeah, in this the numerical simulation is a very primitive result, but if we apply the real data, we should change the velocity each region, I think. Actually this the paper discuss the changing the velocity each region on the mouse cerebral cortex.
Okay, cool. And is it feasible to think that you could eventually get to a point where you can, so now we have 3D atlases of several brains. We of course have it for the mouse, but the mouse brain doesn't really have too many gyri. But when we get to the point where we have good 3D scans of, let's say, pig brains or ferret brains that have folds, then you could take that 3D model and use your model to really predict wavefront propagation patterns all across the network.
Yeah, I think so. And actually, recently a lot of the species of the brain surface of the geometry of the surface can get the 3D structure. So yeah, we can try to propagate the several species brain, and we can
I see. This seems like this would have immediate application for migraine traveling waves, epileptic traveling waves. Okay.
Yeah.
That's very interesting work. Thank you. We have no, I think we should move on. Thank you, Kazuya.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay.